Well, Donald Trump says the US is close to signing a deal with Ukraine over access to resources, including rare earths. Ukraine has been under growing pressure to agree to the terms, despite there being several sticking points to this. Trump wants a return on the assistance provided to Ukraine. Volodymyr Zelensky wants any deal to include security guarantees. So what minerals does Ukraine hold and why does Trump want them? Let's bring in Nino Antadze, who's an Associate Professor of Environmental Sciences at the University of Prince Edward Island. Dr Antadze, thank you for your time. What minerals does Ukraine have and what is its mineral wealth?
Well, it is estimated that we talk about more than 100 types of different minerals in Ukraine. These include what are called critical minerals and the subgroup of those which are called rare earth minerals. And this has been the center of this discussion. These are the minerals that are used in producing the gadgets we use, as well as electric vehicles, and generally with the push towards as of greener technologies, there's been increased demand for these minerals and skyrocketing prices. Right now, the major supplier of rare earth minerals is China. So there is an interest to diversify supply of these minerals. Ukraine also has a large deposits of energy resources and natural gas in particular. And this is in parts in the Black Sea, sort of offshore territory, which is, of course, now tested with Russia. And if we talk about land resources, we should also say that Ukraine has a very fertile soil, humus-rich soil, and Ukraine is one of the major exporters of cereals and grains in the world. So we talk about quite a lot of natural wealth when it comes to Ukraine.
And so what is of specific interest here for Donald Trump and why?
Well, Donald Trump has been mostly talking about rare earth minerals. And as I said, this is because there is a large demand for these minerals. And they are not so rare, in fact, but they are more dispersed. And in Europe, Ukraine has one of the largest deposits of these rare earth minerals. So it has a strategic importance. It also has geopolitical importance because of China being a dominant supplier right now. So that's why, I mean, it's become sort of the major topic in this latest conversation since Trump took over the presidency.
And this mineral wealth, this natural wealth in Ukraine, that's also of interest to Vladimir Putin, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I think natural wealth of Ukraine has been one of the factors of this war, to capture and control these resources by Russia. We should say that significant parts of the minerals and energy resources are now in occupied territories, territories occupied by Russia. It is, they also, Russia has huge interest in those resources and minerals and access to the Black Sea as well.
Now, Zelensky knows that Donald Trump likes a deal, and the offer of an agreement on minerals was in the so-called victory plan that Zelensky presented to Trump last September. That was before he was even president. What have been the sticking points since then?
Well, as I said, this whole conversation about resources and minerals has become a central topic when discussing these conflicts in the last couple of weeks, which is quite striking. Well, I think we have to wait and see where these negotiations go with the Ukraine and US. Ukraine has expressed interest that they are willing to have this agreement with the US, and they're willing to have this negotiation. And today, I think where there were remarks made that they are close to achieving this agreement. We'll have to see if this is more of a framework agreement or it has more details in it. But I think in the next few days, we'll know more details about this.
And with a bit of context, how would you describe Ukraine's previous attempts to develop its mineral deposits and energy reserves?
Ukraine had an attempt to privatize its natural resources, especially natural gas deposits. There were attempts in 2013, then in 2021. Ukraine and European Union, in fact, have a strategic agreement on mineral resources. So these steps have been taken previously, but they've been always cut short, first by annexation of Crimea in 2014, and then, of course, with this full-scale war in 2022. So Ukraine wanted to become independent from energy standpoint and resource development standpoint. However, right now, until the war is over, it will be difficult to achieve.
So could this deal be a win for both countries?
It could be. Of course, it's a matter of negotiation, and the conditions should be acceptable for both countries, of course.
And what do these negotiations tell us about the role that resource politics can play in shaping war and now peace?
Resources are very important, and at the end of the day, we always talk about or have to go back to these resources. It's that in this case, in this case of this conflict, they have not been at the center of the conversation. And now with Trump's deal-making rhetoric, it came into the surface. But it's always been the case that Ukraine's natural resources have been huge interest to Russia and its imperial ambitions.